Amanda here from createyourfuture.co. So today I have Aletha joining me. Hi, Aletha.
Hello.
Hey guys, we got a really exciting video. It's how to change your circumstances. I see a lot of comments in the YouTube, in our comment section about, can I change this circumstance? Can I change that circumstance? This happened. Can I change it? And we are going to answer basically all those questions and more. So yeah, this video is for you if you're basically trying to change your circumstances because they seem unfavorable. Just before we dive into it, guys, Aletha's available for coaching. She's absolutely amazing. Her clients get so much success. Definitely check out the link in the description below. As well, guys, we have a free course, how to find your blocks to manifest anything fast. The link is in the description below. It's completely free. We're getting so much great feedback from it. So definitely check it out. So yeah, we're just going to dive straight into this, guys. Are your circumstances changeable? The answer is yes. And we are going to give examples at the end of the video of some circumstances and how you can change them. So we're going to dive in now to a little bit of why they are actually changeable. It's because everyone is you pushed out and you're constantly transmitting your thoughts, right? So if you think something, everything that's showing up now is your thought. So you can actually change that thought, right?
Yeah, you can. And whatever you think people are thinking or a situation is, that's what's going to show up. And we often think that the outside world, the outer world, is the cause of all of our issues, when in fact, it's our internal world that's causing our issues. And we just, because everything is you pushed out, so we just need to change our thought.
Well, exactly. So, I mean, one of the things, right, that I find is easy for me to change my circumstances is revising the perception that people have around the circumstance. Okay. So I know a lot of times when people talk about revision, they're talking about actually revising what actually physically happens. Now, I have a harder time, changing what physically happens. So like, for example, okay, let's say I go to a party and I drink too much and I get up on a table with a lampshade on my head and I start singing and, being this like karaoke star, right? And the next day I go home and I wake up and I think, oh no, everybody hates me. They're going to think I'm so annoying. They're never going to invite me to another party. Now, I obviously want to go to the party again. I obviously want people to like me and have a good time around me. So me going back and revising that me dancing on the table and singing on the table didn't happen is a lot farther of a stretch for me and has a lot of resistance. So what I like to do to change my circumstance there is I like to go, no, you know what? I'm going to change what people thought about it. Instead of thinking that people thought I was like absolutely embarrassing and they didn't want to be seen with me again, I'm going to change it to, you know what? They had a great time. They thought I was the life of the party. They totally want to invite me to more parties. In fact, people are going to like text message me and say, oh my goodness, last night you were a total hoot and a riot. I love it. We need you back to every party. So for me, it's more, I like to revise what the perception of everybody that witnessed me doing whatever I didn't want. So let's say you did something embarrassing, right? How you can revise that circumstance is you could actually be like, well, you know what? I'm like, they didn't even remember it. Like they totally forgot. You can clear people's memories. Like they totally forgot anything bad you've ever done. Revising a fight, easy, right? You had a fight. You think they never want to talk to you again. How do you change that circumstance? Well, you revise what they're thinking. You say, no, they actually do want to talk to me again,
Yeah. And a lot of times we give too much power to everyone outside of ourselves. As a matter of fact, there isn't such a thing as too much power. They don't have any power. We have the power. And if we give them that power, then they to think that we think they think something, they're going to think it. So because we assign the meaning, and all kinds of things can be changed all the time because there's no limit as to what you can revise and turn around and make be whatever it is your heart desires. So if somebody, simple things, how an environment's going to turn out for your life can be changed through your thoughts and your imagination and revising it.
Exactly. Because, I mean, Everyone is you pushed out. Everyone's getting thought transmission all the time. So, the only time, like Aletha said, that we limit ourselves is if we think, you know what, they said this, it's set in stone, they're never going to change their mind. I mean, and that's what we give our power away to them in that moment. And yet we're the ones that created them to say it. And then as soon as it manifests in our reality, we're like, oh, that's it. It's set in stone, isn't going to happen. But that's not how this works. You created that. So, what I like to do is to be aware of my thoughts. And when I realize that, something shows up that I had a negative thought about and it shows up and I don't like it, I just kind of chuckle it off and I'm like, well, at least we know my thoughts are still creating, you know what I mean? Like, and it's like, and I've got one friend that I talk to and we laugh about what we manifest that we don't like because how can you not? It's like, we sit down and we're like, oh, you wouldn't believe what I did. Like, and then we revise it and fix it together, and so, and that's much what we do with our coaching as well, is we help you to revise and to change your thought on your situation, but everyone, as you push out, your thoughts are constantly transmitting. You're like a transmitting tower. Everyone's constantly overhearing them. So like, for instance, revising like a fight or a breakup and somebody says, oh, they say things to you that are mean. My go-to for that, for revising that to change that circumstance is basically like, well, they were angry. They didn't mean it. They just said it in the heat of the moment, and they're going to apologize and tell me that they didn't actually mean it. Right.
Right. And we stick with that, persist with that, not give in to the negative thoughts of like, oh my gosh, it'll never, they'll always be upset with me and they'll reject me and block me and all that stuff. Stay with those intentions that they're going to forget about it. And that it was out of the heat of the argument and they didn't actually mean it. Everything you just said, you have to stick with it. You have to persist with it, because the change of our circumstances happens because of a change in our consciousness. And when you take a change from being the person that's the victim and hurt by this other person, which by the way, doesn't have any power unless you give it to them, and you change it over to being the person who is in a state of consciousness of, I got this, and they're going to think what I think I want them to think. And when you do that, then you actually are changing your state of consciousness. And you're letting the old person go, and you're living from the new person, the person of whatever it is you're choosing to experience. And so we need to, and we create from states of consciousness, whatever conscious state you are occupying, then that's what's going to show up. So if you want them to forgive you and forget, then you need to live from that state of forgiven and forgotten.
Exactly. And living from that state is simply just starting to change your thoughts. Okay. Yeah. If I want my situation to be forgiven and forgotten by whatever party and myself, what would my thoughts be? Well, the first one is they forgive and forget. What other thoughts do you, oh, but they won't change. No, they will change, they will forgive me. So it's holding that state. Your state is created by your thoughts. So you change your thoughts, you change your state. Right. I think, and this is just a bonus one for everybody. I think a lot of times people ask, well, how do I live in the end or live from that end if I've never, experienced that? Easy. You just start thinking of what you would want to experience if you had that, because your thoughts will create your emotions. So if you want to live in, like this, a relationship, and you've never had a relationship before, start sitting down going, how are you going to feel in that relationship? What are you going to see if you have that relationship? What's the other person going to do? What are they going to say to you? What are you going to hear? What things are you guys going to do together? Start building what you want that to look like, because there is no, it's funny, there is no, oh, this is a preset how a relationship looks for everybody. You create that. Just like love means something different to everybody. What does love mean to you? Well, sit down and define that. What does love mean to you? And that's when, you create that. You create everything. It's always created by you, always. And, we were talking about before this video, and I think this is worth mentioning, is that if we aren't putting conscious effort into something, then our old stories that we have are actually creating. So like, for instance, your subconscious mind, when you tell yourself something long enough, and this is why Aletha is saying to persist, because when you tell yourself something long enough, it creates like an unconscious story and it goes into autoplay. Okay. And if we don't put any energy towards whatever we're looking to create, the old story will play out because it's an autoplay, because we've said it to ourselves long enough. So when we start to change our story, we have to keep changing it, keep recreating the new one that we want, to put it on autoplay. And then, it only takes a little bit of work in the beginning, and then it goes on autoplay, So I think that's really important to note how important a mental diet is, because the only one that has to be conscious and convinced of your new story is you. Once you are, everything else will fall into place, right?
Yeah, right. Exactly. With SP, if you want to manifest that into your life, you need to be conscious of already being with that person, of already having that relationship. And you explained how to do that. Living from the end is having, sitting down and, well, how would I feel? What would I be doing? What would be my thoughts on that subject? And then what are those feelings? And another way to do that is also to do that. And then that helps you move naturally into what some of the things that Neville suggests in his writings. And that's using your imagination, just creating a small 5-second imaginal scene in your head, because our words anyway create pictures. So we already got pictures going. So we might as well just sit down and focus a little bit more on that, and then do that and see yourself being with this person, hearing what you want to hear them say to you. You can do that for revision. You can do that for anything. You can do that to change their minds. You can do that for anything at all, or just to have the guy decide that, or girl decides they want to be committed to you, and use your imagination. See that happening, hear them saying those the words that you want to hear, whatever resonates for you in the relationship, and then stay with it till you can feel the feelings where it feels really natural. And then you'll kind of know when you get to the point where I can just get up and go about my day. And then what is really cool, once you have an imaginal scene in your mind, then as you're going through your day, and you might think about something, and all of a sudden that little imaginal scene will pop up in your head. And what does it do? It does the same thing as a song that you heard sometime, and it happened around a happy occasion. And immediately when you hear that song on the radio, you get those same wonderful, happy feelings. So you can just do that with this imaginal scene. As soon as it comes to your mind, like, oh yeah. And then you feel yourself in that place again of having, because again, we manifest from the place of having what it is our heart's desire. And the more you do that, the easier it gets. And then it will manifest eventually, because you're getting rid of the old thoughts and you're moving into a whole new assumption, a whole new conscious state. And that's what you manifest from. Whatever you are is what shows up.
Exactly. So some situations that I see, in the comments is distance. They live far from me, it's long distance. Well, that circumstance can be changed. You can easily say, well, look at, what, they get a job close to me. They move, into my same town as me. For instance, they don't have my phone number. It's been a long time since we spoke. I would revise that in that circumstance into, well, what, they can totally easily find you through Facebook, a friend, or any social media, or even bump into you on the street. So, you say, just because they don't have my phone number, they are going to contact me somehow. And the time that it's been since they've contacted you, especially if it's been a fight or something, you can say, oh, well, you know what, time heals all. They've totally forgotten about it. They've been missing me, and they're going to reach out to me because they want to talk to me. For instance, I just saw a comment from a YouTube subscriber. They said, well, my specific person didn't call me back. So I just gave it the meaning that they were tired and sleeping, and that they would call me as soon as they woke up. And the funny thing was, and she says the next day, he said, oh, I didn't see this message. I was tired and I was sleeping. Sorry about that. So right there. So, if someone doesn't call you back right away, give it a good meaning. Like, okay, you know what? They're probably just busy doing something. They're going to call me soon, and persist in that story. Past disagreement, a bad breakup, people saying things to you that you weren't comfortable with, revise it as, they were just upset in the moment. They're going to come to their senses and apologize. Or if somebody did something to you and, and you're mad at them, okay, you can say, look, they're going to take responsibility and apologize, so it's a countless, like, everything can be changed, all your circumstances. It's just a matter of you getting creative and creating a new spin on it that, that works for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, changing your perspective of, I can't have this or do this. It's not going to happen or work for whatever reason. I mean, I did that with the phone number thing just the other day. I suddenly realized that this person that I wanted to have my number didn't have that number. And again, I just created the situation that it would work out, that they would, and as it turned out, they did. And I did get a contact from them. And so we are the powerful people. We're powerful people. And we think that there is we have a tendency to think that I'm stuck here, stuck there, and this won't work or that won't work. But the truth is, you're the solution to every problem, to every situation. And it comes through using your power of intention and your imagination, if you like, and revision. And you can. I mean, I created a friendly situation with my neighbors because new neighbors moved in and they had a great big spotlight right on my house. And so it was daylight inside at night. And it took about 2 days. And I finally realized when I was really frustrated, all I need to do is I remember when it worked for me. I remember when the spotlight didn't shine in my house. And, you know, and I elaborated on that a little bit. About it, the next day, I noticed the light wasn't on that night. And then the next day I saw him, and then he said exact same words that I had been saying back to me. And so it does work. We are not stuck anywhere unless we choose to be or are not aware. And that's what some of these videos are for, to help you become aware that you're not stuck and that you have the solution within inside you.
Exactly, because, well, I have the solution because I was the original problem. So
exactly. Yes, exactly.
I'm both the solution. I'm both the problem and the solution. So,
right.
You know, it's about making a conscious choice every minute of your life of, are you going to be the problem in your life, or are you going to be the solution in your life? And, you know, and I know it can be hard to admit that we've created the problem to begin with, because it's so easy to blame it on somebody else. But you know what? Nothing good in our life ever comes from blaming others, you know, that they've, you know, and saying, well, they're never going to change. They need to apologize, coming from that sort of mode. Now, I'm not saying, you know, take everything personally and blame yourself, but I'm saying take responsibility for how other people have shown up. If you've created them to disrespect you, then start intending that they respect you. If you've created them to, basically, say mean things to you, and they take responsibility and start saying nice things to you. Like, so take responsibility for your assumptions of others. Don't take the blame for it, but take responsibility for how other people are showing up in your reality. But at the same time, you can manifest apologies, them apologizing, them taking responsibility, because that's what this is about. It's not about you being a doormat. So I just want to make that incredibly clear, because sometimes we get lost and we think with everyone as you pushed out that there's something wrong with me. There's something wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with you. The only thing that maybe needs to be changed is the assumption about the other person, about how they show up, right? And you can still intend they take responsibility. You can still intend they apologize. You can still have all those wonderful things. And I would encourage you to manifest that if you need to heal from something, right? So.
Yeah. And Neville, it reminds me of something Neville said in one of his writings, and that we don't give people a chance to, because we have some negative assumptions. So we don't give them a chance to be to us the things that our heart desires, because we have our own little wonderful negative assumptions, like, oh, they're always this way, or they're always that way, or they don't want to be in a committed relationship. And we don't give them the chance to be in one because we are assuming them to be negative towards us. So we change that assumption, and then we change their attitude towards us. And so if they get upset, and so getting upset with our SP because they're doing things isn't really something. It's just a matter, instead of doing that, just change your attention to what you do want, and assume the thing that you want from them, and that's what will show up eventually. So
Exactly. So guys, we intend that this video has completely helped you to be able to, revise your circumstance, and to give you some inspiration and hope that you can get past your circumstances, because they really don't matter. And hope we gave you some insights as well into, some aha moments to help you create something. So we intend you have a wonderful day, and we hope you have a Merry Christmas, because I think this is airing after Christmas, and a safe New Year. So thanks for being here today, Aletha.
Thank you.
And guys, thank you for liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.